Wanna go to war? Let's do it. I'm Black Hannibal, running through your capital on elephants. Civilized a savage with my elegance. Militant intelligence, run through your defense. Strike like a ninja, slice, cut, and injure. Leave no prisoners, just bodies on the battlefield. I'm Spartacus with a sword and shield. Something like a marksman with cold blue steel. War paint on my face, keep my identity concealed. Advance on your camp like dozens of killer ants. Snatch your king like chess, checkmate, this is death. While my team have fun with your queen. Throw your bishops off the roof, your knights flee the scene. I plant bombs in the home of your pawns. The detonation shook the foundation of your rooks. Holding shotguns with double barrels. They impact so hard when it blasts through your body travels. Street Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Black Spartacus. Burn your flag as I overthrow your government. New politics, no Democrats and Republicans. Spiritual systems built by wise men who's true in living. The foundation's no longer Christian. Teaching universally the wisdom of the nations. New currency, no more dollar bills with white faces. No more Caucasian domination. All races participating, cultivating education. The people hungry and they ain't waiting. No more debating. Let's overthrow the haven to Satan. This whole world needs some new changes. Rulers with new faces. It's time to take out the racists. Spartacus from the new ages. From the page to the stage, pull a blade on the money changers. Spartacus from the new ages. From this page to the stage, pull a blade on the money changers. All right. What's up, y'all? Rob Black Storm in the building. Welcome back to the channel. Wonderful to see y'all here. I have with me special guests. You've seen them before. I have, and I'm going to invite them in. Snap. Sorry about that. 1 second, guys. I have some technical difficulties. First of all, let me fix that. My TV just came on without me. All right. Welcome, y'all. I have here the lovely, the wonderful Divine Feminine Works.
What's up, everybody? What's going on?
And to add on, I have the wonderful, the lovely Monique Ruffin, who I am dubbing the Zodiac Queens. Welcome, ladies. Welcome.
Happy to be here.
It's an honor to have y'all here. You know, I've been talking on my channel and saying that this is the year. Well, really, this timing is really divine feminine oriented, you know. A lot of things are coming out, you know, from the darkness into the light. And it reminds me of a birthing. You know, I was posting today about, you know, when the water breaks and the child is giving birth. And it seems like right now the water is breaking. I was looking at some Celtics players today, and reporters were asking them, you know, what do you think about the royal family playing in front of the royal family playing basketball? And they were like, what royal family? Basically like, what royal family, you know? And that was like a conversation, you know, 5, 10, 15 years ago that the answer would have been totally different, you know? So right now, with all these things, these different changes, you know, I think this particular cycle, this Sagittarius season, and this particular new moon or this full moon coming up in Gemini is very, very powerful, very impactful. Talk to me about, you know, what you guys see. Let's start off with just this Sagittarius season, what you guys are seeing in the charts, how it's impacting us. Let's start with that. What do you guys see? Anyone, you know, one of you guys can start off. Or gals or ladies or queens.
Age before beauty, I'm joking. I'm older than you. I should go. I'm silly. I know we are. I'm just being silly. I like to lighten it up around here. Okay, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
It's funny you say that because there's something about Sagittarius season, especially Mercury in Sagittarius, that's like humorous. That's like a lot of silliness, a lot of funny stuff. So that's like that's Sagittarius season right there, like that kind of sense of humor. But I've seen like people's minds are getting blown, like the amount of expansion, the amount that things are, the amount of things that people are learning, the amount of things that people are being like exposed to, like people's minds are just being blown during this season. That at least that's what I've been seeing and experiencing myself.
I agree.
It's a Sagittarius. So Sagittarius squares Virgo, and immediately that makes the energy more challenging for Virgos, is what I'll say, because we have to really make something of it. We have to do something with this energy. We don't get to just allow and flow. It's fire, and fire to earth is going to make something new. So one of the things that I've been very mindful of in the community that I teach and where I support people is helping them understand that they have this opportunity, because Mercury is in Sag, to really open up their perspective, to look at things from different ways, come with a fresh perspective, like challenge yourself to see it in a new way, to see the same situation in a new way, because astrology is a tool for us to use. It doesn't just happen to us. I mean, it does, but if we use it, it's like, when it's raining outside, let the rain water your garden, let the rain wash your car, like use it. That's how astrology is. So with Venus here, it's like opening up, like, are there new understandings around love and, our relationships, and like just bringing this new perspective in, because Sagittarius says that we are to step into foreign experiences. And that just means it needs to be new. So there's Mercury, there's Venus, and there's the sun. And the thing about Sag also is about your faith.
All in Sagittarius. Yeah, I noticed that. They're all in Sagittarius.
Yes, all in Sag.
Yeah.
Opposing Mars retrograde in Gemini. And so this is also, with all of that in Sagittarius, Sagittarius is about your faith. Sagittarius is about your philosophy, what you believe in, all of that. So all that now, as we're learning all these things, like, do you still believe that, just generally, I'm saying, do you still believe Jesus is your Lord and Savior based upon all the information that's coming out? You know what I mean?
Right.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
He's coming. He's coming, though. He ain't come to slavery. He ain't come during the pandemic, but he's coming.
So we have this new opportunity, because the last cycle, Scorpio, everything died in Scorpio. Everything, like, because that Scorpio season was really about that. So now we're coming into, they call it Christmas, but it's really the return of light. So we are all having a return of light of some sort. And so that's what I'm doing with the Sagittarius season, as I wake up every day, like crying and like, I will, because it's challenging for me, but I'm with it.
It's been challenging for me too. I've been doing a lot of crying. I've been doing a lot of soul searching. And I think that sort of soul searching energy and your beliefs versus your knowledge, it's played out in Sagittarius season, and it's really going to play out at this full moon. Like, this is one of those full moons where you are going to be shown yourself, for better or for worse. And I feel like a lot of us have been warming up to that over the last couple of weeks, definitely leading up to this full moon. And some of us are getting hit over the head with that right now, myself included. Yeah. So it's very eye-opening, very eye-opening. And it's going to get you to see, I feel like Sagittarius season is getting people to see themselves in a different way, especially since Mars went retrograde. Like, even though Mars is in Gemini, Mars is all about the self. And because it's retrograde, many of us are turning inward. And a lot of us are experiencing conflicts with our identity. Like, we're seeing ourselves in a different light because Sagittarius is sort of making us do that. But then we're still like, but no, this is who I am. This is how I identify. This is what I'm comfortable with. And Mars retrograde is like, nah, I don't think so. especially in Sagittarius season. Once this full moon hits, it's like I call this moon the full moon. It's the cold hard truth. Like a lot of people are
Woo!
going to be. First of all, it's called the cold moon. The December full moon is always called the cold moon. But with
Mm.
that Gemini Sagittarius axis, it's what you know versus what you believe. And with that Mars retrograde, it's like, who are you? Like, really, who are you? What are you here to do? Who are you here to commune with? Like, what is your purpose? Like, the theme of this, I know I'm getting ahead of myself because I know we were just talking about Sagittarius and I
No,
kind of
not
just
that
went into
No,
good.
this
Go
is
ahead, go ahead.
great.
the full moon, but it's like you really need to know yourself and you really need to own who you are. This new person, this new facet of yourself that Sagittarius season is really trying to show you. And it's no coincidence that you sent us that message about Chiron, because I've been getting messages about Chiron, and it's like many of us are being called to heal ourselves right now. Like heal our identities, heal who we thought we were, so that we can enter this new season as sort of this new us, or at least refreshed in terms of what we're here to do and what we're here to learn and experience. So yeah, it's real. It's getting real right now.
Yeah, you know
Mm.
what's crazy? I'm going through like a Mercury retrograde type of thing. I went live on Thursday morning, late Thursday morning, Friday night, Friday morning, Thursday night, and my TV never does this. My whole Wi-Fi went out for like 4 or 5 hours, and my TV has been quirky. Like my remote's not working. The TV has been like popping on random times. It's very, it's very weird and very
Mhm.
strange, right? But at the same time, like I was prompted on this journey to like grow my hair, right? And
Mm.
if people know me for my life, like I never grow my hair, like never. I never let my hair grow. So I've been doing this since September, and it's challenging, to see myself with more hair, with my hair growing. I'm learning I can't just rush outside. Can't shower and rush outside like normally. I got to take time to let it dry. I got to comb it out. To make sure it's not just knotty and super knot. It's
Mhm.
different. It's a different thing. But at the same time, as I feel like as my hair is growing, I'm growing. Like I'm retaining more information. I'm learning more, and since this Sagittarius season started, it's like spirit has been prompting me to get rid of some things, some bad habits, and
Mhm.
that's been a challenge in itself. It's like in astrotheology, they teach that this particular sign of Sagittarius is when Jesus was on the cross, right? And
Yeah.
Jesus was dealing with the two thieves in the Bible, because we know the Bible is just a book of mythology. And the one
Yeah.
thief was like, look, why don't you just get off the cross? You're the son of man, right? You got the powers. Like, what's wrong with you? And the other thief is like, yo, I want to go to heaven. Like, I want to be with you in the Christ like era. And I feel like those are the choices. Like, are you going to stay where you've been and stay in the material world and still look for this material world to give you the answers? Still think it's about becoming rich. Still think it's about, oh, when I get that perfect woman or that perfect man, everything's going to be all right. Or when I move to this perfect place, everything's going to be all right. Or when I do this or when I do that in the material world, just like that guy was like, yo, I want to see the miracle. Like, I want to see you hop off the cross. But we have a plan. We have a plan for ourselves. We have a purpose. And until we master what that purpose is, then we won't be able to get to the next level. And and you have to get on your cross, so to speak. You're gonna have
Yeah.
to die to certain things so when the winter solstice comes, which is a representative of Jesus being in the tomb for 3 days, which the winter solstice is 3 days, right? So it's representative of Jesus being in the tomb. So when you come out of that winter solstice, which represents this more sunlight hitting the planet at the same time, you're now able to move towards whatever your purpose is, and then you will get quote unquote your gifts, right? Whether that
Yeah.
be spiritual, psychic abilities, whether that be your new car, your new home, whatever the material things is. But I think the key is we have to realize that these things are aligned to our purpose, which is why Sagittarius has that arrow and it's aimed to the right? It's not aimed to the left. It's not dealing with the left brain, the logic, the reason, those type of things. So the masculine brain is dealing with the feminine brain, the right brain, the imaginative brain, the visualization brain. So meditation is like a key theme, especially during this season. Like I'm telling people, like my clients is coming to me for readings and stuff like that. I'm like, look, this is the time to meditate. Like if you're going to start a new venture, like a new
Mhm.
going to the gym, you're going to start a new health regimen, you're going to do it now. Like don't wait till New Year's Day. Like there's the
Yeah.
energy is not really carrying there. This is the fire energy right now. This is the energy
Mhm.
you which you want to use to ascend. This is the energy where you want to make the changes. This is the energy where you want to ascend off the cross and go to heaven, so to speak. So when that
Mhm.
winter solstice comes and you're going now into that Saturn Earth energy, that cycle energy, that box energy, you already have your cycle in place. You already are moving forward. You already have your identity, you know? So I thought that was interesting. What y'all think about what I'm saying? Y'all feeling that, or am I
That was
crazy?
so good. You did a great job.
I was like, oh shoot. I was like, wow, you literally just broke it down. The whole thing.
Yes. You
Yeah,
been
yeah, because
studying. That's great.
yeah, it's an extreme time, and with the sacrifices that I'm making, I'm definitely seeing the gains. I'm seeing the hardships as well, um, but it's like the Bible verse that says when you sacrifice, I'm paraphrasing, but when you give
Mhm.
yourself to God, all things will be added to you. And
Yes.
these sacrifices have been difficult. Some of them are people, some of them are women,
Yeah.
some of them are vices. Um, and you got to say, what do I want to come into? Do I want to come into 2023 the same way I was in 2022, 2021? Or am I willing to take the time during these 4 to 5 weeks to really invest in myself so that I have a lifestyle in place that will take me to the next level as far as where I want to go? So I think it's very important. Also, let's dig into Chiron, since we kind of tackle it. Let's you
Chiron.
lovely lady.
Chiron.
Chiron. That's what I said.
Okay.
No,
I
I'm
know you did. I don't know why. I've been begging
Chiron.
you, keep correcting you.
You're gonna have me write it like when you're in school and you mess up, you gotta write it on the board 50 times. uh, let me shout out some of the people that are here. Peace to Philip, peace to doing her thing, peace to Pablo, peace to J Rock. Uh, Appreciate y'all taking your time. If you're here, please hit that like button. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. If you are ghost watching, I do appreciate it. So I put this in the chat for you ladies. Mo, I don't know if you saw it, but let me see if I still have it.
Oh,
It might be.
there are all these cards.
Um, but let me pull it up actually. Give me 1 second. And I thought this was very interesting. When I saw this, I was like, whoa, I couldn't believe this. All right, so I have it up here. And I'll share this for Chiron. Let me share this real quick. All right.
While you're looking for that, I've
Yeah.
given up eating out. I've started preparing all my meals. Like that was the sacrifice that I made. Like
Mm,
cooking at home, all my meals. It's a sacrifice, right? When we give up something that
yeah.
we, but it definitely helps you focus your energies. All right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
didn't mean
No.
to.
No, that's good because diet is very important to as far as the spiritual journey, especially
Mhm.
just in general for like blood flow, energy. The thing about fear and stress is it lowers your IQ. You become dumber when you fearing all the blood goes from your brain to your body. So it
Wow.
affects your digestive system, it affects your nerves, your system, all the systems, your endocrine system, which
Mhm.
is very important for powering your chakras. So
Mhm.
when you have a bad diet, it affects your mood because most of your serotonin is built in your gut. So the way we eat, people think, oh, I can eat whatever I want, I can drink whatever I want, it's okay. But
Mhm.
it's similar to you having a Ferrari, and you're putting like regular gas in it.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
you can't. You still be able to drive your car, but it's not going to be as effective and as powerful as it would be if you put that premium in there.
Yeah.
Your engine will last longer once you put that premium in there because that's what the engine is built for. So we're not
Mhm.
so really supposed to be eating all this beef and all, and even I won't even say we're not supposed to be eating it because everything is here for we're supposed to dominate the earth, right? And we're
Yes,
supposed to
yeah.
eat what we need to eat. But with the way the FDA regulations, the
Right.
GMO in the foods, all these. This ain't the pork of 1910 is not the pork of 2022. The burger
That's
of
true.
1920 is not the burger, the McDonald's burger of 2022, right? And the
Mhm.
interesting thing about even the diet thing, I was thinking about this the other day because they had a new where they were giving, I think what was it? Kentucky Fried Chicken. We're giving
Mhm.
free Kentucky free sandwiches. If you bought a sandwich or a chicken sandwich, they give you a free
Mhm.
sandwich. And I remember
Mhm.
before the whole, the whole COVID thing hit, they had the chicken sandwiches. I think it was from Kentucky Fried Chicken, if I'm correct, or one of those places where the chicken sandwich phenomenon came out. So
Popeyes.
Popeye. It was
Popeye,
Popeyes.
Popeyes, right? So who
Right.
knows what they put in there, to make people more susceptible to getting
That's
this
right.
type of virus, or what type of things they put in there to lower your immune system. So
Mhm.
Mhm.
diet is very important just for energy, just for clarity. The more food you have in your body, the more blood is flowing to your body. So the less blood is flowing to your brain, to your pineal gland, right? You're
Mhm.
literally lowering your IQ. It could drop as much as, and not to mention the fear that's on top of it. You watching the
Yeah.
news, you watch these things on social media. One week you mad, Kanye's talking about Hitler. The next week you happy, Kanye's talking about the Jews. The next week you mad, Kanye's wearing White Lives Matter shirt. The next week you happy, he's saying, So, not to mention all the other things that's happened just socially, right? And that how people are trapped in this matrix. So yeah, I think what you're saying is very correct. I've been having that calling too to not eat certain things. Like that's the next step to start eating, and I ain't there yet, but I'm getting
Yeah.
closer and closer. But I definitely my lifestyle been on some healthy eating, at least eating in
Yeah.
moderation. I would say. All right. So I want to talk about this Chiron, the wounded healer. So if you notice, this symbolism is the same as Sagittarius, ladies. It's the
Mhm.
same
Yes.
exact symbolism, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we have a lot of healing to do in this cycle. I always was under the impression that Scorpio season was the shadow work season, right? But at
Mhm.
looking at this, I'm thinking more so that Scorpio season is more of an initiation into this season, into
Mhm.
shadow work season. Scorpio may be the season where you're recognizing where you're betraying yourself or going against your inner emotions. And then this season, like Scorpio season to me would be more like when you're mapping out or laying the blueprint. And Sagittarius season is like, okay, this is where I'm going to really do the work and really, work on making the changes, being that, the planet of Jupiter rules this sign. And,
Mhm.
you know, we're dealing with the fire sign, which, that divine flame, that Kundalini flame, that energy rising. Talk to me
Mhm.
about the significance of these two being the same. What do you guys think or what do you guys see?
You can go ahead, Monique.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so I love Chiron. Chiron is also considered the ruler of Virgo, um, because of the healing qualities. Oh, what happened? Okay, I guess it's just me. All right. All right. So because of the healing qualities. And so Chiron, the mythology around Chiron is that Chiron is the wounded healer. And whenever I do readings for people, I love the Chiron because I can ask people, do you remember what happened? Like if Chiron is at the 17th degree of, whatever, it's like, do you remember what happened around the time that you were 17? Or if it was at the 13th degree or the 29th degree, whatever. And people usually have a memory of something in their life that was a betrayal because Chiron, the mythology around Chiron is that he was fighting in a war with his comrades and he took on friendly fire. And so what they call that is a betrayal, um, because someone that close to you does something that you didn't expect. Now, this can show up like your mother dies early, or your parents get a divorce, or any of the, but whatever it is, whatever the initiating thing is. I've had experiences where clients have betrayed themselves. They got pregnant and they decided to have a baby, even they didn't really want to have a baby. Just, it's about this betrayal of the self or of your experience. And then Chiron takes 50 years. So then in 50 years, you get 50 years to work that out, is what I'll say. That betrayal, that energy. And when you're 50, Chiron comes back for you to reconcile, to see what did you do with that material, what did you do with that energy. And so Chiron is really powerful. The other thing I want to say about it, and then I'm gonna be quiet, is that Chiron is the symbolism of Christ. It's because Chiron takes on a wound, and because he's half horse, half man, he can't heal from the wound. So he goes to Zeus and says, then let me take this on for the world. Like whatever Chiron's particular thing was, he's like, well, since I'm going to be suffering for it, nobody else should have to suffer for it. And that is the Christian mythology of Christ. That's the same story. It's just through the Greek, through Chiron. So Chiron is a big deal in our chart and how we evolve in our own humanity.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I knew the mythology of Chiron, but I had never thought about it that way or heard it explained that way. So that was amazing.
Definitely.
It's your source of power, but it's through this immense healing that you learn of that power. It's almost like you wouldn't have learned that power other than being wounded. And that is what helps the lesson stick with you. And not just that, you take that energy of Chiron and the lessons of Chiron, and it gives you the blueprint to give to others. So you actually end up healing yourself by helping others heal a wound that you thought you would never be able to heal from. If that makes any sense.
So basically, so by through healing others, you heal yourself, is what Chiron kind of denotes. Okay, that makes sense. That makes
And
sense.
like I know, like in my experience with my Chiron, it wasn't a wound I was even aware of. But it was something I was able to spark in other people. Like I have Chiron in the first house. So everything having to do with how I see myself, my self-esteem, how I identify, like that's a wound I didn't come to realize I had until fairly recently, to be honest. But I always hear from people like, I feel so good around you. I can be myself around you. I learned so much from you. You motivate me, kind of a thing. And I'm like, really? I'm like, cause I'm having a hard time motivating myself. Like this is hard. Like and people would always say, you don't see yourself the way that we see you. And I'm like, how do you see me? Cause I feel like I feel like a mess. Like there's so much internal turmoil, but you use that almost subconsciously to heal others. And it benefits the world in a sense.
It's really powerful. What do you have in your first house? What's your rising sign?
Taurus.
Taurus. Okay, yes. That's really dope. I have Chiron in the first house, also in Aries. And I understand what you're saying. I feel like because I'm a Virgo, that I'm always working on myself, and then it's like I'm the lab, and then I share what I learn with others. But yeah, Chiron is pretty fascinating. Do you know where your Chiron is, Ra?
My Chiron, I really, I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought Chiron was bullshit. Literally until like 3 days ago, Spirit was like, "Yo, you gotta look into this." I heard somebody on YouTube like talk about it, and then Spirit, and then I was still like, "This shit is bullshit." And then I was like, Spirit was like, I had a dream. Spirit was like, "Yo, you gotta look deeper into this." So I looked into it. My Chiron is in the 11th house. How's
In what?
Aquarius?
In Aquarius? In
Yeah.
Aquarius?
Yep. Chiron in the 11th house.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So when I read up on it and did a deep dive on it, it made so much sense. Like it was like how, I could fit in with people, but I'm still a loner, like I'm
Hmm.
sociable, but I don't want to be bothered with people, and even with like here, like I'll be going gung ho for a couple of weeks, then I'm like F the world, and I never really understood it, like I never understood why am I like that, why
Right.
do I, get these points where I'm like going hard at things and then I'll just stop, and I'll just, or especially when it comes to dealing with people, not necessarily work or working on a project. When it comes to dealing with people, I'll be like, I don't feel like bothering with people. And when I read up on it and studied it and like really deep dived, I was like, man, it made so much sense. Like it makes so much sense. And it gave me so much clarity, even just the last few days really learning about it. So yeah, yeah. So I definitely would encourage everyone because of the Chiron. I mean, looking at the imagery of this particular, it's the same imagery, like I said, of Sagittarius, but not only that, when you look at the symbol of Chiron, it looks like a key, like it looks like a skeleton key. The other astrological symbol of Chiron, it looks like a skeleton key. So I think with a lot of the traumas that, especially us in the melanated community, so-called Black community, but just everyone, particularly around the world, that especially nowadays with all the changes that we've gone through since 2020, there's just a lot of trauma, between us. I mean, look at the children, what they're doing, 13, 12-year-old, 14-year-old kids just shooting each other dead in the street for little to nothing. There's a lot of trauma. And that means the parents are going through a lot of trauma, the parents are hurting. And we really have to come to the point where we get face to face with what we're going through and keep it real with what we're going through, keep it real with our past, and being that this is, the time of ascension, you really have to go within. This, yeah, what we're doing right now is great work and it's great to talk about and discuss, but we can't save you. Me, Mo, uh, Divine Femme, Mel, we can't save you. You really have to save yourself. These are really tools for you to take back and really journal and look at your life and see why what happened. If you're smoking, let's say for example, right, you're smoking weed 4 or 5 times a day, and you're a person of a certain age. You have to ask yourself why. What caused you to do that? Why did you start smoking weed? You know, I know that's a touchy subject, but if you're not getting ahead in certain things in life, you really have to ask yourself, what habits have you taken on and are they really benefiting you? You know, and I'm just using that as an example. Another, it could be food. You could be emotionally eating, right? Why are you emotionally eating? What trauma caused you to go and just start eating food? What is it in you, in your DNA, in your lifestyle? And it could be an ancestral trauma, like a lot of
Yes.
times, especially in our community, they talk about high blood pressure a lot, high blood pressure. Well, that's something that could be changed through the science of epigenetics, the science of you changing things via your environment, and your environment is basically, it's not where you're from, it's where you're at. So it's how the environment around you, the people that surround you, the things you're taking in, the places you go, the things that you choose to focus on, the things that you choose to see, whatever you focus on expands. So with this Jupiter energy, it's the same thing. Whatever you focusing on in expansion is expanding. So if you're focusing on expanding, you have to really understand what going into, again, this new year, this 2023 year, the 7 number year, the year of God, the year of completion, the year of, this 7 is I mean, I feel like a lot of people are going to get reparations in 2023. I think 2023 may be the year that reparations actually hit. I could be wrong, but I really feel like this may be the year in some states that people get reparations. A lot of people are going to get some money, but you have to be in line. You could get all the money in the world, right? You could get, let's say they give everybody 100, 200, $200,000. If all you do is give it back and spend it on Gucci, Louis, buying Bentleys and all that, 2024, the same thing's gonna happen. We're gonna be in the same predicament. Look at what happened in 2020 when they were giving out the PPP loans and all that. You know, the money that was coming through. What did people do with it? Didn't make the community any better. It's not making the lifestyle better for us, our children, all that, and it's evident by what's happening. So, you know, this symbolism is about looking back. You know, he's looking back with the arrow on the horse, and the horse is a representation of the spirit. Horses are always a representation of spirit or spirit possession. So this is also a time where you could tap into those ancestors, right? We just came from October, the week of the dead, right? Halloween, all of that, where the ancestors literally have come in. There's more darkness on the planet than light right now. That's what's happening. The days are shorter, the nights are longer. So we're building more melatonin in our bodies. There's more melatonin in our bodies right now as we're speaking. That melatonin, DMT, oxytocin, dopamine, all these things are at its height right now, right? Especially when we're sleeping. So this is the time where we really want to cultivate this meditation and go back, you know, go back in time in your visualizations. Even if it's traumatic, write it out, look at it and face it and remix it to your favor. So that when you think about these things, that same energy is not there. And that's probably the most difficult thing that we could do. I know it's difficult for me. You know, I know it's difficult for a lot of people. But the energy right now, this fire energy, this Jupiterian energy, lends us to basically hop on this horse, right? Hop on the spirit horse, and your ancestors will help you. Could be ancestors in your bloodline. If you're adopted, you don't know who ancestors are in your bloodline. Use somebody, a public figure that you admire, that you would like to take on their characteristics, and you'll be surprised. They will help you. You'll be walking and talking and be in the grocery store, and you'll just hear a voice telling you something from this particular ancestor. You don't know why, and it's leading you to do X, Y, Z for your benefit.
That
That's all
is
I
the truth. That is the truth. That is so good. That is
I
so
love
good.
that.
yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Wow.
So let's go into Howell said, here we go, stabbing at your vices. He always says this. I'm always gonna stab at him, man, because I gotta stab at mine, so I gotta stab at yours, Hollow. I gotta stab at mine, so I gotta stab at yours. It's all about, you know, us maximizing our godhood and our God power. You know, that's really what it's for.
I feel
Um,
like one of the ways to help with us moving from vices is through loving ourselves. Like
talk about that.
literally, like help, like love yourself out of your vice. Don't penalize yourself out of your vice. Like have compassion for yourself. Like, oh, you're smoking this cigarette again because you have just been, like tell yourself something kind rather than I shouldn't be doing this. This is bad. Speak to yourself gently, lovingly, compassionately, and it makes it easier to shift your vices. But we tend to like really criticize ourselves and be cruel. We tend to not be empathetic with ourselves. So then it makes it hard. Those energies hold on because you're resisting. But if you just go, oh my God, I love this cigarette, and I'm gonna have one less cigarette every day. Thank you, cigarettes. Thank you so much for helping me do, like, really be grateful, and they will let you go. And especially if it's ancestral, like a lot of us who drink, consume alcohol and cigarettes, that's ancestral stuff inside of our systems. And so if you start venerating your ancestors, then those vices start to go away as well.
Also, when you start doing the healing work, I know, especially when it comes to like drinking, because I know me, I used to drink like a fish, like all the time. I think it's my Pisces moon. Like I would just like drinking was my thing. And when I started healing, the desire to drink just almost went away. Like it didn't go away completely, but that need to escape, that need to numb, it wasn't there anymore.
Yes.
And so it goes back to Chiron, right? Like this is there's something about this season apart from just the astrology that's just about healing, knowing who you are. It's no coincidence that the glyph for Chiron is the key. Many of us are unlocking parts of ourselves right now that have either been dormant, that we haven't wanted to address. And I think that Scorpio season sort of rattled the box, right? It sort of got us into that place where we can acknowledge what our vices are, like actually know what they are. And Sagittarius season, like you said, it's the fire. That's when you do the work. That's when you take action and actively heal.
Hey, I think, and I also would think that we have to also recognize is that I think there's nothing wrong with vices as long as you don't abuse them, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing
That's
wrong
it.
with smoking a tree on occasion. There's nothing wrong with if you get drunk, smoking a cigarette, whatever, right? Whatever your thing is. As I mean, even the ancients, right, in ritual, they were chewing coca leaves, right, cocaine, to put
Mm-hmm.
themselves in trance. They just shut down a whole, which was diabolical. But the Chinese government, they just shut down a whole Buddhist temple for methamphetamines because everybody in the Buddhist temple had methamphetamines in their system. So they went there, tested them, and cleared out the whole temple, right? And it's like, of course, they have methamphetamines, but obviously they're Buddhist monks. Like these are people that levitate, right? They not using this for to get high and
Turning
talk
up and
shit.
selling the shit, right?
Yeah, play cards and dominoes, right? And have and put something on the barbecue, right? They're not doing this
Mm-hmm.
just for recreational purposes. They're doing this for spiritual purposes. So I think as long as you and if you have an addiction, right, if you're doing something on a day to day religious basis and it's harmful for you, or you're not getting ahead in certain areas, or you want to develop certain spiritual abilities, right, you want to have a kundalini awakening, you want to feel your pineal gland pop, you want to have clairvoyance, clairsentience, all these different clairs, right, you want to enhance your senses, you have to make certain sacrifices in order to do so. That's the only way. And sometimes you do have to have a period of um, cessation of these things, even
Mm-hmm.
as far as sex, especially for men. Like you have to have a period where you're not having sex as a man. You have to have a period where you're willing to go celibate in order to get ahead. Now, women, they can have sex all day and manifest through their receivers, right? They can manifest through masturbation, masturbate 50, 40 times a day, and bring everything they want in their life. You've seen women that have been so-called promiscuous and have been super successful. The Amber Roses of the world, the whoever, right? Super successful being promiscuous. You're not going to see that in a man. So there's a certain level that and certain discipline that you have to have as men. We a lot of times we're taught, at least I know me and us in the hood, we're taught to chase women. We're taught the more women we have and the more that we're bringing in, oh, he's the man. I used to get a rush of just bringing dudes in my apartment, bringing women in my apartment. You know what I'm saying? Like seeing the dudes outside. Yo, Rob, you got another one? Yeah, you got another one. Yo, you got this one. And really, when I look back, that shit was a waste of time and money. That shit was a waste of time, money, and energy. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it was a waste of time, money, and energy, and headaches on top of that. You know what I'm saying? Trying
Wow.
to juggle, trying to make sure everybody's happening here on the book. Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you reach out? This, that. You know what I'm saying? Then you got your own shit you got to take care of as far as making money, right? Then, especially if you got a family, right? So it's just different things that, especially during this season, you want to evaluate and really look at where you want to take yourself. Because again, yeah, Vincent said, no fat is real too. You want to take your time to do that too. Take your time to practice semen retention. You don't want to, especially as a man, you don't want to just be ejaculating to porn every single day. And because porn has on the phone, when I was growing up, that wasn't on the phone. You
Right.
couldn't just access it with the in really you could be a 12-year-old, you could pull up something
You
in
can.
2 minutes, you
That's
know, of
heartbreaking. That's
all types
okay.
of, and it's not even good sex. You know what I'm saying? It's not even sex that's going to raise your vibration, to raise your kundalini. It's the lowest, most debased sex that you could have. You know what I'm saying? It's not even tantric at all. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna be able to find that on Cornhub, you know what I'm saying, or none of those sites. So you're not gonna find that, So
It's
really it's really
interesting
about
you
exactly.
say that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mo.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's
Oh, go
interesting
ahead.
you say
Go ahead.
that because Mars is the planet of sex, right? And with Mars being retrograde, number one, it's retrograde in Gemini. So many people are reevaluating where they spend their energy. whether it's sexual energy, whether it's effort, whatever it is. Mars retrograde in Gemini is getting you to think, like, why have I been doing that? Just like you said, you've been wasting time and money. That's the essence of Mars retrograde in Gemini. And for men, this is like recalling your sexual energy. This is, I'm not going to say repressing your sexual energy, but it's calling it back and it's reserving it. Like Mars retrograde is all about powering down so you can recharge. And so while Mars is retrograde, and Mars is going to be retrograde until the middle of January, I believe, like it definitely is like, yeah, it definitely is like no FAP season for y'all. Like you really need to be preserving your energy, because when Mars is direct, that's Mars is direct. So, you know, so it's a time of conservation for all of us and reevaluating, where have I been spending my energy? Where have I been leaking energy? And now you have that time to reevaluate that. So when Mars goes direct, you can recalibrate and you know, okay, this was a waste of time. This was a waste of energy. I'm not going to put my energy into that anymore and put it where it needs to go.
And this is like, you know, if you're single, if you have a wifey, you know, I ain't gonna say deny her or whatever, but even in those situations, you could hold back, you know, your semen. And even if, you know, you don't, make sure that if you are planting that seed in your wifey, that is somebody that is wifey, that they really love you. You're not just doing it to, you know, bust a nut. That you, when you are busting that nut, it's in someone that loves you, that cares about you, where you could plant your dream and she could help you give birth to your dream and your vision. You know what I'm saying? That's very important. A lot of times we just picking partners, and I think this on both sides. We're just picking partners that look good. You know, the sex is good. You know, they look good on our arm, on Instagram. You know, the selfies are great. You get a lot of likes. You know, and people are running with it, and they're really rushing into relationships without really taking time to vet somebody. You know, so like you said, Mars is Gemini, or especially with it being retrograde, is really looking back at the gems inside you. You know, what is it that makes you shine? What is it that makes you great? What is it that allows you to communicate your vision at the highest level or at the maximum level? So yeah, I think that's great. All right, ladies, let me ask y'all, what do y'all think about, so this is a question I had personally. Western astrology, this is kind of a curveball, right? Western astrology versus sidereal astrology. What is the difference, and why do you ladies prefer Western astrology over sidereal astrology? I've been following y'all for a while, so I know what y'all do.
They are two sides of the same coin. So Western astrology is sun based. Sidereal and Eastern astrology is more like your subconscious, right? So both together can arrive at the same exact information, just in different ways. I me personally, I was just introduced to Western astrology like first, and it's what I gravitated toward. I've been, it's funny you say that, because lately I have been feeling the call to sort of delve into sidereal astrology more. But it to me, I feel like it's really two sides of the same coin.
That's a really great way of looking at it. I Indian culture is thousands of years old, and they live astrology the way we live the Real Housewives in Atlanta.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The way we play basketball, they do astrology. Like they are
sports, right? Yeah.
yes, they are very, astrology is a part of their culture. It's in them, right? And so I when I started studying astrology, I went for Western astrology because we're a young culture, and I feel like sidereal has all of the rich cultural archetypal practices that is aligned to that to Indian culture, and that's not who we are. We are not that.
I see what
we
you're saying.
we are Western. We are new. We are learning. We haven't cultivated thousands of years of ritual practices and tantra. And I mean, these people, they are on it. They have herbs and but these Indian people know their stuff. I mean, the gurus come from there, and it's because they are doing the stuff that we're just learning how to do.
Yeah.
Even though we taught it to them. They got it. Everything came from Africa, but we've been so westernized. I just feel like this is appropriate for where we are in our evolution.
Yeah, and I think Western astrology, when I was like just looking into the comparisons a couple of years ago in 2019,
Hmm.
um, it's really like like you said, we're in the West. Like we're not over there. We're not. If you're in Africa, right, or if you're in India, if you're in China, I think
Hmm.
sidereal astrology is for you because it's Eastern astrology. Like you're in the
Hmm.
East. You're on
Yeah,
that hemisphere. And once you cross the Atlantic, you're in South America, North America, Canada. You're in the West. That's where the
yeah,
planets are impacting you most. So Western astrology would be more impactful. I don't think one is better than the other. I think you could look at both, when you're doing your divination or you're doing your type of work. And if something feels better for you or, then go with it. I don't think one is better than the other. But from my study and based on what I'm conferring, what I'm getting from you, Queens, that, yeah, I was right.
yeah.
It
And
also seems like a really complex system too. The way that they analyze charts, like it's very different than Western, and I don't think I was built for that, to be
yeah,
honest.
Yeah,
and I'm a
even
Leo, and
divination systems are pretty heavy too. Like they have this like life mapping system. I was
yeah,
trying to learn it, and I was like, man, this thing is. I'm gonna have to I'd have to literally probably go to school for like 90 days just to really sit down for 3-4 hours a day and map it out. But sorry, I think I interrupted one of y'all. Somebody's gonna say something.
no, it's okay. I was saying that I'm a Leo in Vedic astrology, which
Me
really
too.
hurt my feelings. And and then they use astrology to know where to live, to should you marry this person. Like they are anchored in these practices. And
Yeah,
because I study with somebody who comes from that philosophy, I study tantra with somebody, and we follow all the moon cycles. It's I love it. I just I feel like Americans generally we're immature in our understanding of ourselves. And so yeah, that's all.
what would you? And I guess in closing, what would the queens what would you recommend that we do as far as work going into this new moon? Candle work, meditation, whatever. What herbs? What do you think? What would you recommend for the family that we would get into with this new moon in Gemini and with this particular energy? Because this is the last full moon of the year.
Yeah.
After this, we're going into the new moon in Capricorn. Saturn takes over. And that earth sign, that earth energy, heavy earth energy is going to be in play. A lot of people kill them, have, delete themselves around New Year because of that heavy earth Saturnian energy,
Mhm.
and just the weight of the season, family, friends, being alone, it's a heavy time for a lot of people. A lot of people are depressed too. Like,
Yes.
check in on your family, check in on your friends, check in on people that you haven't heard from a while. Because there's a lot of depressed people out here. I've been doing readings lately. A lot of people are stressed out. You see them on Instagram, you see them on Facebook. They look like they're doing great. They're not doing great. They look
Mhm.
good. You know what I'm saying? They look well.
Right.
The car is shining. The rims are spinning. But they're not doing well inside. So definitely check on these people. But what recommendations would you give for us to, do the work, so to speak?
I'll start now. One of the things that I find is really easy to do is just begin to follow the moon cycles. Because the work goes on and on and on and on. As long as you're on this earth plane, the work is happening. So it's not an all or nothing thing. And what we are aiming for is consistency. Right. So one of the things that I know, like as Black people, we used to go to church. Like I grew up in the church. I was at church on Wednesdays, Sundays, preparing on like we if we can be that way about our contemporary spiritual practices, the way we were taught as Christians to be in the church and tithing and cooking for such and such and answering the phone and taking people's kids to school. If we could assign that type of devotion to understanding ourselves, then that's just a great thing to do generally. But as far as the Gemini full moon, Gemini is the energy of speaking your truth into existence, speaking it, writing it, and so I will wake up and write mantras. I will, if I'm not doing anything, I'll just be writing mantras and speaking it out loud. And like I go to the spa and get in the cold pool. And when I'm in the cold pool, I'm just thank you, thank you, thank you that I have strength to deal with this cold water that I'm expanding right now. Because we want to speak it into existence. And you want to speak what you believe. You have to believe it at least 5%. You don't have to believe it all, but you have to believe it a little bit, right? Because if you believe it, then there's a greater chance that you're going to actually activate it.
What would you say to someone who counters that and would say, well, that's the same faith they told me about having in Christianity, the same faith they told me about having in Islam?
Well, I would say that, you know, there are absolute truths in those Abrahamic religions, like the practices, there's truth in it. The challenges that I have with Abrahamic religions is that they took the feminine out of the deity, they removed the feminine out of God, and the feminine is God. So that's the challenge with the Abrahamic religions. But there is a way in this on this earth plane and in this human body, there we are creators, whether we know it or not. We are creators. We are always creating. That's what it means to be made in the image and likeness of God, that you are a creator. God is a creator and you are a creator, whether you think so or not. So, what we get to do is to become conscious of our creations, conscious of the creative process so that we are intentionally engaging it. And so that's what I would say about this Gemini energy.
Yeah, that was excellent. That was
It
excellent.
was.
I learned. I learned.
It
Yeah,
was.
what you got for us, Mel?
Um, Piggybacking off what Mo said about creation, I was having a conversation with someone not long ago, and I'm like, we're so not conditioned to know our creative abilities that we have the same exact creative abilities as God. God created Adam and Eve. We create John, Mary all the time, whether you realize it or not, sometimes by accident, right? The ability to create is within us innately. And I feel like this is one of those times where so many people are waking up to that. And in terms of the full moon in Gemini, scripting is a big thing. What you write about comes about. And I know lately one of the practices I've been doing is that every day I script, but I write my day as though it already happened. So I said, today I made $2,000. Today the love of my life proposed to me, whatever it is, like, and you script that on a daily basis, and that ends up becoming your reality. Like, the beautiful thing is that God gives you a pen in life, and it's this. This is your pen. This is how you create your reality. You write the script of your life. And I feel like this full moon in Gemini is all about, like, I would say scripting, and the other thing is meditation. So getting your mind right and being receptive to the messages that are coming in. It's like the universe is full of messages for so many people who are willing to hear and have the ears to hear. But you're not going to hear it if you are distracted, or if you don't believe, or if you're worried about the 3D bullshit that life conditions you to worry about, right? Everything in life is conditioned to take you away from yourself. It's conditioned to take you away from source. It's conditioned to take you away from your higher self, who you truly are. And I feel like the moon cycle reminds us on a regular basis to tap back in. That subconscious, those messages, who you truly are. The moon gives you the blueprint. You just have to follow it and then create from there.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I agree with both of you. I mean, Mercury, right? Gemini, it's ruled by Mercury. Mercury's all about communication and commerce. So communicate your highest goals. Write it down. Communicate your highest ideals. I like what Marjorie said. The pen is mightier than the sword. You know, writing things out, even when you're watching YouTube videos or looking at things like that, where, you are reading or studying, you want to write these things out, have a little book, I keep black and white notebooks on my bed and stuff like that. I got a couple, I got even one in case something happens to me, like full of wisdom for my children, just to make sure that these ideas continue on. You want to make sure that you have your writing, and the main reason is because of the way writing impacts the brain. When you're looking at something and watching something, you within an hour you lose like 60 to 70% of it. But when you're writing it, you retain about 60 to 70% of it. So it's a big difference between writing something out that you've watched than just watching it and thinking you're going to remember it, and then thinking, and also by writing it out, it causes you to look at it and think about it. You're able to ponder it. You're able to see, does it make sense? Versus just hearing, there's a dragon, these YouTubers be crazy. They be like, yo, I seen a dragon coming, and the dragons are like, you hear crazy things on these YouTube streets, especially spiritually. Tupac's alive. And yeah,
Mhm.
Shock G is alive. They just wearing different face masks. All these distracted. And be careful too on these YouTube streets with these spiritual distractions. So-called spiritual distractions where they have you looking for aliens and looking for this and worried about government reptiles and worrying about what's going to happen. It doesn't matter what's going to happen outside of you. Everything outside of you is illusion. This is Maya that we're living in.
Yeah.
This is an illusion. This is a matrix, a matrix. This is a womb. You know what I'm saying? You give birth to what you want in this womb. You give birth to what you want to manifest in this womb. You give birth to whatever lifestyle you feel is conducive to you in this matrix. But you got to be Neo in it. You know what I'm saying? You got to be in the world and then out of the world. You got to go to the real world, which is within you, and then you got to go in the world as Neo. You know what I'm saying? But you got to know your Neo first of all. You got to understand that you have these powers. You got to have that understand that you have these abilities, and understand that as you grow and as you develop and as you start to heal these different wounds, to heal these chakras, go through your healing process, go through facing your traumas, go through this transformational process is for the benefit. And it's not going to be easy. You can't, in this path, you can't blame it on the devil. In this path, you can't ask Jesus, you can't let go and let God. You know what I'm saying? You can't ask Jesus to take it away. You
Mm-mm.
got to be responsible for yourself. This is the equivalent of entrepreneurship. And I was telling somebody just yesterday, I was like, maybe you need to go back to church. Because everything I was telling them was like, well, I can't, I'm stressed and, but it hurts. And I was like, maybe go back to church for a little bit and, let the preacher, it's okay. There's
Mhm.
nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. Look, we all have our paths. We all are here for a reason. I'd
Yeah.
rather you be a great Christian, a great Muslim, or a great, Catholic, whatever, and follow that philosophy to the T of what, whatever it is, and you're better for me when I meet you and my family meets you and meet your family in the future, right? They're better for my kids and et cetera, et cetera, than you sitting here stressed and depressed and I don't know how to do this and I'm scared that if I do any conjure or light a candle, the angels, the demons are gonna come and you're not a reader, you're not a researcher, because this thing takes work. Like you listen to these women. You could tell these women study. These women are reading. These women are doing research. They're not playing games. Mo and Mel, they every day on Instagram. That's how I found them.
Mhm.
Every day they're on Instagram dropping knowledge about the stars. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? Mo goes live. Mo be inspiring me. She don't know. I'm at work. I'm like, shit, man, quit this job. I gotta get this astrology shit. You know? Shit,
She
fuck this
does,
shit.
yes.
You know what I'm saying? So then I think about my
Yeah.
bill. And I'm like, yo, but at the same, I'm not gonna say nothing, but at the same time, things are changing on that front too. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because
Yeah.
everybody has their calling, and you got to live your calling, and even in that, you got to make certain sacrifices. You know what I'm saying? And you got to trust that quote unquote, God got you. You got to trust that the universe got you. You know what I'm saying? If you know that this is your calling. Everybody has a chart. Look at your Chiron. Look at your North Node. You know what I'm saying? See what you got to hear with your Chiron. Go to your North Node. See what you're supposed to be doing here. Look at your Jupiter. See what brings you abundance. And look at your Saturn and see what cycles you need to go about things. And then you could have a kind of idea of how to work your sun and your moon, right? Am I right, ladies? Or am I, let me know. Because this ain't my thing. Astrology is my thing, but y'all are the masters. So when I talk about astrology, I talk about it based on what I know and how I've used it. As I always tell you guys, I come to you guys with things that I've done and I've used. I'm not just coming to you guys with things that I've heard about or I've regurgitated from some other YouTuber or a book. These are things that I've personally done. I've used spiritual work to get out of prison. I've told y'all this. You know what I'm saying? To get out of prison. My parole was supposed to be men. The niggas left and 3 women came in.
Right. Oh, I love that.
Ooh, I don't know this story. Oh, I gotta go back and watch some videos.
Yeah. I think I've told it one time, but I'll tell y'all. Yeah, when I went to parole. This was a long time ago. One of the 9/11 was 2001, so I got out. I got out that January, and yeah, but I was doing meditation work, and I was doing visualization, and they allowed us to have oracle cards and tarot cards, right? I was doing, like, before I went to parole, like, I was doing divination, and I was praying on these specific images. I'm not going to talk about them right now, but I was praying. I was focused on these images, and they basically told me that what was going to happen was going to happen. I was going to meet women, and they were going to be influential in my release, right? And and when I came in there, I saw like 3 men, and I'm like, "The fuck's going on?" You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, something happened. You know what I'm saying? And they was like, 2 white men. They was like, "I gotta go." You know what I'm saying? I gotta go. I gotta go. The motherfuckers left. 3 women came in. Black woman, Spanish woman, and a Caucasian woman. And the way I spit what I spit, it was immaculate. It was God given. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know what I was saying. But the way I was saying it with the passion, they had to let me go. They were so impressed that they had to, I knew they couldn't keep me. I knew if I would have heard what I said, I couldn't. And I have a violent felony. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't the best boy back when I was young, but I was young. I just got it. You know what I'm saying? This is when I was 16, 17, But I say that to say that I've lived this. You know what I'm saying? This is not something that I'm talking about. I've used these things to get out of situations, literally making a way out of no way. And there's many other examples that I have, even as a man. A lot of men don't want to do the spiritual work because they think once you get a lot of money and get a lot of women, that's all there is. But we see these celebrities, male celebrities, that have all this money and have all these women, and they're still depressed. They're killing themselves. Look at Anthony Bourdain. Look at Robin Williams. You know what I'm saying? And the list goes on and on and on with these people are not happy. And also people who do magic, who are into the occult. Everybody who knows how to work a candle and knows how to do spell work, a lot of these people aren't happy. A lot of these people are miserable. Believe it or not, behind the scenes, yeah, they may be able to do a hex and concoct a spell here and there, but they're still miserable. Why? Because they're not working on themselves.
You
They haven't
gotta work on yourself.
You gotta work on yourself. You're supposed to become the magic.
It's such an interesting thing. Like, for a long time, I was doing a lot of plant medicine ceremonies because plant medicine really moves energy. Like 20 years of therapy in one medicine ceremony or weekend, right? It's real. It's really real.
It really
But if
is.
you don't do the work, it doesn't matter. Like, nothing takes the place of you doing your internal work. And how do I feel about the way my mama was, and what did my daddy do, and he wasn't there, and how did that impact me? A lot of people, like, I come across people, and as I work with clients, and they'll say something like, well, my daddy wasn't there, and they'll say it like he doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like he didn't give the sperm for you to exist. And I'm like, I don't care if he wasn't there or not. You still have work to do around that experience. You don't have to go find him or be his friend, but you have to look at how that impacted you. And every time I say, well, what are your relationships like with men? Oh, I struggle. Yes, because you haven't healed that thing with your father.
Mm.
And it's like I said, it's not healing. You have to shift your mind around it. Mars and Gemini, change your perception, change the story you're telling about it. So, like when I was working to heal my relationship with my father, I had to go study and understand, why was he the way he was? Like, what created him in that way? And then I saw, like, my grandmother was so scared to have black sons that she tried to put all of them off on Jesus. And they wasn't fucking with Jesus. They was like, we don't give a fuck about Jesus. They wanted her. They wanted her love. They wanted her attention. Do you know what I'm saying? They really did. And so they felt betrayed by her. They felt abandoned by her. And then that was the onset of all the behavior, because she thought she was doing the right thing. Why? Because they told her Jesus will say. So she didn't know she was doing something, right? So it's like we have the opportunity to go really look at this stuff in our lives and change the energy, because this body is a computer system and it's holding all the memories. It's holding your mama's memories and your grandmama's memories, and the time your grandfather slapped the shit in front of your grandmother. It's holding that. It's holding all of that. And when we reorganize it, it becomes power. But we have to do the work to change the narrative and shift the energy, and then it becomes power. So we can change all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Everything.
And we will.
And,
We
yeah.
will. I was looking at, before you go, Mel. I was just looking at something today where I was I'm kind of like researching the Jewish community, so to speak, but not more so the history, because we know black people, Jews, blah blah blah. Who cares? Like, what does that matter? That's just identity politics, right? But I'm more so interested in how they are, their systems, right? How they develop, how they grow their communities, how they nurture their families, right? That's what I'm more interested in, because that's, if they stole from us, that's what they really stole from us, the culture,
That's
right?
right. The
That's what
rituals and the
the
practices.
exactly, right?
Their whole ideology is based around women, the
Yes,
divine feminine.
That's right.
yes, exactly,
That is the
exactly.
big difference between them and the Abrahamic religions.
Hmm. And it's
Yes.
all about the reverence of their women and the family, and families
Yes.
coming together and keeping the money within the family. And the religion is really just an incubator for family and the commerce that comes from family. Like, it's
Yes.
really very family oriented, and they do a lot of the same practices. Like, even like they have a ceremony called Caparo, where they basically are doing the same thing voodoo priestess would do with the chickens, where they snapping the chickens, rubbing the chickens all over their body and snapping their necks and taking the evil spirit of
Mhm.
that chicken and
Isn't
just
that Yom Kippur? I think they do that around Yom Kippur.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's funny, even before this whole, and this is documented on YouTube, before this whole Jewish Kanye thing, I celebrated, like, I fasted during Yom Kippur, and I'm also going to be celebrating. I'm going to be
Hanukkah.
lighting candles. Hanukkah, during Hanukkah, yeah, I'm going to light my candles. You know what I'm saying? Just like they light the menorah, but I'm going to be doing it for my chakras. So each day I'll have a candle for a different chakra, start from the root up, as far as
I
healing.
do that too.
Yeah, yeah.
I like
Fast
that.
fasting during the day and
I
eating at night, just like, yeah, I'm gonna follow Hanukkah just like them, because shit is working for them.
Yes.
And again, if they stole the culture, instead of me as, well, I won't say as a man, but instead of me as a god body bitching and complaining, why not steal it back and create my own culture around it? You know what I'm saying? For 2022, instead of complaining and saying, "Oh yeah, the Jews, yeah, we're the real Jews." Who? All right, great. They
Prove
still got all
it.
the money. They
Prove
still
it.
got community.
Exactly.
Yeah, prove it. Prove it. Like what? Okay, that it's great. Yes, seeing all those black men in front of the Barclays Center and wearing all purple for Kyrie, that's great. Like I said, and I said something last video. I want to double back, because I said I'd like to see. I'd be more proud if they were building a building. What I didn't know is when they went to demonstrate that the Jewish rabbis actually was going to do a demonstration on the same day. So they actually came to counter the Jews' demonstration against Kyrie. So I didn't know that. But I still would prefer to see them building buildings. You know what I'm saying? I still would prefer to see those thousands of black men on a construction site wearing all purple building buildings. And like I said in my past video, I'd join them for free just because. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure a lot of us would, because those are the things we'd like to see in our lives. And that's coming, you know what I'm saying? Especially with all these things being exposed right now, things coming to light, the way people are speaking up, the way people are looking into their past and looking into their history. You know, we're on the precipice. We really got to look at our children as well. Make sure we're teaching them these things that we know. Make sure we're living truth, because having book knowledge, looking at these videos, studying, it doesn't matter. You know, I hate to say it, but I mean, it matters to a degree, right? It gives you source information, right? It stimulates the left brain. You're able to reason, you're able to articulate, right? You're able to tell somebody about it. But I've known a lot of things for years, and I wasn't living it. You know what I'm saying? I've regurgitated a lot of things out of these lips that I was not living. And it's only until you live it that it really becomes magical, that you really see the impact of what you know. There's great historians here on YouTube and on the internet. There's people that have photographic memories out the ass. But then when you see their character, or when they have a scandal, you really see who they are, and you know that they're not living these things that they know. Some people are just have a great memory and great historians. So you really need to use discernment, especially going into 20, because there's going to be a lot of bullshit in the air, because they know what's up. Like they see what's going on. They see that people are waking up to their bullshit. So it's up to us to really open that third eye, so that when we go into 2023, we're able to see what's up, and we're able to determine, okay, this person or this celebrity is going crazy. We shouldn't be following celebrities. Are not leaders anyway. Let me say that. Celebrities, athletes, entertainers are not leaders. Nobody should be following celebrities. Nobody should be hanging on to their every word, right? You want to lead yourself. And the way that you lead yourself is gaining a knowledge of self. Knowledge of self, it allows you to help yourself. It allows you to know your culture. It allows you to understand the best parts of your culture. It allows you to move accordingly, right? It allows you to have discernment, and allows you to love yourself and love your culture. The reason we don't love ourselves is because we don't love our culture. We don't love the best parts of our culture. We shun the geniuses, right? The Ivan Van Sertimas of the world, and the Sheikh Anta Diops, and we don't even we don't even talk about them. Like, we don't even build them up, but we talk about Elon Musk, right, and Bill Gates, and all these other quote unquote geniuses, right? So we have to come back to where we're recognizing and honoring the geniuses that came before us and the geniuses that we have now. And sometimes your purpose might be to help a genius. Your purpose might be to assist someone that is doing the work. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing to look down upon. You know what I'm saying? If you have a job, don't look down upon having a job thinking you have to be an entrepreneur because everybody else is an entrepreneur on the internet. Like, whatever your purpose is, know your purpose. And you're going to know your purpose already by what you love. What you love, what you're passionate about already. That's part of your purpose. You just have to figure out how that integrates into your godhood, and how that integrates into your spirituality and your divinity. That's all I got. Anything before I go, or anything else, ladies, that you want to talk about before we go? Plug.
Yeah, you're the whole thing about purpose. I think that a lot of people are waking up to that. I think that it's a buzzword now. I feel like everyone's like, "Oh, my purpose, this and that," and that's great. Like, I love that. But following your purpose is hard as shit.
Yeah.
It it is not love and light. It's not crystal. I mean, it involves those things, but I think that people glamorize it. People slap an aesthetic on it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm living my purpose." No, when you live your purpose, you go to hell. You go to hell, and you come back, and it's hard. It requires you to see yourself in all of yourself. We are gods, but we are also our own demons at times. And you have to love that part of you. You have to know it. You have to love it. You have to live it. And that's how you know you're living on purpose. If you're like smooth sailing and shit is cute and everything. That's not on purpose.
Yeah, that's not purpose.
Come
That's
on
not
now.
on purpose.
Yeah.
You're gonna go through
emotional damage.
that's purpose.
Exactly. If
Yes.
you're waking up questioning your existence, questioning your identity, asking, am I really supposed to be doing this, feeling fear, anxiety, and doing it anyway, that's a clue that you are on purpose. And when you're on purpose, not just the work that you're supposed to be doing, the inner work that you're supposed to be doing is going to surface also. Because I know when you asked this question, the question that popped into my head was, well, how do you start doing the work? Because I know that was a question I had. Because I'm like, all right, you're giving me all this information. What am I supposed to do with it? How do I start this? Do I start just shadow work? Do I start doing this? You do what you're led to do. And you're not going to know what you're led to do unless you surrender to spirit. You got to be, life purpose is not, it's like your life purpose. I want to say it's like 50% you and 50% spirit. So if you're not listening to any spirit and you just doing you by yourself, you may not be doing your life purpose, or you may not be doing it in the way that you're supposed to. Like, you've got to let go of your ego. You've got to let go of your conditioning. You've got to let go of everything you thought you knew and just surrender and say, listen, I'm ready to go where you're ready to take me. But the thing is, where they're ready to take you is where you want to go.
Yeah.
Like, I think that some people think that life purpose is something that they don't like, or it's like an assignment that they're given that has nothing to do with what they really want. And that's not true. Spirit wants for you what you want for yourself. And so if you're willing to let go and be like, spirit, you got me, right? That's how you know you're on purpose. And there's going to be times where when you're in purpose and on purpose, where there are certain things you can't handle yourself. Like, there are times where spirit tells me to do some things and I'm like, are you for real right now? Like, I can't do this.
Right.
I'm like, you know what? You do it.
Right.
You told me that this is what we're supposed to do, so you do it. You orchestrate. You bring me the people. You tell me what I need to wear, who I need to talk to. Cool. And I'll show up and I'll do it. Like, that's part of the work. And that's hard. And that's something I know I had to come to realize that. That's not something you kind of know just out the gate, right? Like, you fall into that. And you've got to just fall, surrender, and know that you're going to come out better on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, that makes me think about Sagittarius too, right? It's half man or woman and half animal, right? So there's an animal spirit in all of us, like the lower part of us. That's that animal or animating spirit, right? The thing about being quote unquote human is you have the ability to live as your God self, or you have the ability to live as an animal self. I was watching these alligators, and they threw a whole bunch of baby chickens in a pit with the alligators to feed the alligators. And even though all the chickens were there available to eat, right? Obviously, the alligators still were creeping on the chickens. And then they would creep, all of them. It was just in their nature. The chickens are there. They're available. Just snatch them out. But they still had to creep up on them,
Yes.
As mankind, we have the ability to be like. There's some people that are like that, right? They see somebody that's cool, respectful, nice. They want to take advantage of them, right? They still have that "I'm going to creep up on you" nature,
That predatory nature.
That predatory, good word. That predatory nature, right? Where they just want to get you. We call them gaslighters. We call them narcissists, things like that. Where they're out to get you. You need to be courageous. That's one of the things that I got downloaded, even just doing the spiritual work, right? Stepping out of the shell, so to speak. And so you got to be courageous doing this work. Like you're saying, Mel, you have to be willing to challenge yourself. You have to be willing. Even me doing this channel, it's a challenge. Because before I looked to Chiron and studied my Chiron, I was like, I don't really like people. You know what I'm saying? I was telling myself, this is the narrative that I've had, even doing this work, talking and doing readings and stuff. I still had this narrative of I didn't like people. And I realized that's a narrative that I have to change doing this work, because I'm working to help people, to heal people. So how am I talking about I don't like people? I don't want to deal with people, but I'm doing spiritual work to help people. That doesn't make sense. But I know all this shit. You know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say, when you're living this lifestyle, you have the ability, and there's an animal, again, Sagittarius season, it's about the mastery of that animal within you, that animal nature within you. You could be an animal, you could be a beast of burden. In the hood, we call them dusties. You could be a dusty, or you could be a shining star. You know, it's totally up to you. It's totally up to what choices. But remember, we live in America, right? Where in America, I used to always say on Facebook, the media runs you niggas, right? The media runs the melanated black community for the most part. They go where the media goes. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even want to say just our community. I think that's just the world. They go where the media tells them to go, and you have to really use discernment on what direction you're going to follow, what you're going to get angry at, what are you being triggered by, right? And it takes courage to go against the herd. It takes courage when people are doing things that are trendy online to say, nah, I'm not going to do it. It takes courage to step out of the box when everybody's getting a BBL and to say, nah, I'm not going to get a BBL. When everybody's watching the manosphere and talking all these stuff about women and say, nah, I'm going to look at women with reverence. You know what I'm saying? It takes courage to step out of the box. It takes courage to get out of that Saturnian box, right? That set box, which is the real Satan, being caught up in that hexagon, caught up in that box, caught up in that circle, that cycle, and not stepping out of it. It takes courage because this is the land of followers. This is the land of sheep, where people just follow blindly. People don't think for themselves. People don't think critically. And to be a critical thinker in this realm, you're going to meet challenges. You're going to meet people that are quote unquote ops, that don't want to see you win, that think that you're a fraud, that thinks that you're a fool for living this lifestyle. But when they see you shine, they're going to be the same people that are going to double back and want to read it. They're going to be the same people that are going to double back and want insight. They're going to be the same people that are going to, how many people in my family have come to me for readings, or people that I work with that see me on Facebook? That's shocking. You know what I'm saying? These are people that talk shit when they saw me eating poke bowls at my desk. Why the fuck are you eating? You know what I'm saying? This shit looks crazy. These leaves and shit. You know what I'm saying? But then when motherfucking COVID hit, you want to fucking DM me about what herbs you need to take. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
That's how it is. That's how it is. So, yeah, that's my piece. That's my piece. So the animal within you is always going to be there, right? We are a million at the end of the day. That urge is always. I don't care how much of the highest of heights. I don't care if you watch a million Sadhguru videos and think he's the man, and see these yogis with the dots on their head, and they're from the Far East, and or you see the guys with all the crystals and the dashikis and the big afros, and you think, oh man, this person's doing it, and their backgrounds is all fancy and shit, and they always talking to shit. They going through it. You know what I'm saying? There's an animal in them too that's fighting, fighting them. You know what I'm saying? There's an animal in you that's fighting you on a day-to-day basis, and it's up to you, and that's really the big challenge for you to maintain your peace amongst the chaos, for you to maintain joy and happiness. That's what Ma'at is. Harmony, the law of Ma'at, which is what the ancient Egyptians lived by. Harmony, love, and order. Law. There's 7 universal laws that they call the Kabbalion. Study those if you don't know what they are, because those are laws. Those aren't requests. Those aren't requirements. These are universal law. You know what I'm saying? And once you understand the universal law, then you understand that good and bad must happen. You understand that everyone has good and bad, including the people that you quote unquote dislike. They have good in them. Maybe a little bit of good. There may be a lot of good, right?
Like
But
Kanye said, Hitler has good in him.
I didn't want to say that, but yeah, that's the same exactly. And Erica Badu said that too. You know what I'm saying? Goldberg said something similar, right? And they all got canceled, but it's the truth. And because melanated beings, we're naturally able to think on that yin yang level, to think abstractly. We're born with that. You know what I'm saying? I always say we're born with our sacral chakra already activated. You know what I'm saying? We're not stuck strictly in the root. We're already born with our sacral chakra activated based on the melanin. So it's the direction that we choose to take at the end of the day. but thinking everybody's there's no me, none of us are all good or all bad, and you need to recognize that. That's where the whole philosophy of he without sin cast the first stone comes from. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Doesn't mean that people that do you wrong don't deserve to be excommunicated or taken out of your life, right? Or maybe you don't mess with them anymore or whatever. But you do have to have sympathy and understanding that maybe they had a childhood where caused them to be who they are. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? I've had bad relationships, and then when I really look at took the step back and reflect on what they've told me about their childhood, I'm like, well, this is why they were acting the way they acted. You know, this is why they were doing what they were doing. I look at my child because you got to look at yourself too. This is why I did what I did, based on my childhood, right? And
Yeah.
some people choose to heal that trauma, which is again going back to the Chiron, going back to it looking just like Sagittarius. That's what this healing time is about. You know, so the next 3 days, really take your time, script, as the ladies are saying, look at that. You know what I'm saying? Mercury is also about commerce. You know, what do you want your life to look like in 2023? You know, what does that, you're the bag. You know what I'm saying? You're the bag. What steps do you have to take? What obstacles do you have to alleviate? What habits do you have to change in order to get that bag up? We all supposed to be rich, wealthy,
Yes.
not just having money, wealthy
Yes.
as fuck.
When we have dominion over this reality, when we understand how to really function with dominion over this reality, we can really access wealth. It's such a one of the things that I'm not want to talk a lot, but one of the things that I'm really understanding is our relationship to this 3D reality is the relationship we're having. It's like between our relationship to the creator, our relationship to ourselves, and then our relationship to this 3D reality. And then with like Gemini, the perception, like our eyes are not the eyes that we see with, and we can program ourselves to see what we want to see. Like like it's so much for us to learn how we can function. Like if you program your computer to do certain things, or you can program yourself to be a certain way, to think a certain way, to function a certain. You can program yourself into wealth, program yourself into health, program yourself, and that's how powerful we are. And so it's really exciting time to be alive, to learn the technology. Somebody is saying visualization. Yes, visualization is really key. um but you have to see what's not there. You have to see what isn't there.
You have to create the mold in your
Yes,
yeah.
that's right, that's right. So it's good. Okay, I'm done. Okay, I'm finished now.
What you got for us, Mel? You got anything?
Nah. I think we've said a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we bodied this one. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
Yeah.
I think we got it. Everything's lit. You know,
yeah.
Yep.
everything's lit. So, with that said, drop what you guys have. You know, where can we find you? What services you offer? X, Y, Z, and we'll get up out of here.
I'm at Divine Feminine Works on all platforms. I do natal chart readings, I do tarot readings, I do a bunch of different astrology reports and stuff like that. So if you're looking for any of that, you can find me at divinefeminineworks.com and Divine Feminine Works on all platforms.
You can find me at Monique Ruffin on all platforms. I do readings and things of that nature. I am also a teacher, though. I teach people how to use the astrology to shift their realities. One of the things that has been really key to me, I studied psychology and went to school to become a therapist. I have Chiron in the first house. So being a therapist was really significant for me. And for a while, I was studying, I was seeing clients, and I just couldn't move them. Like there was just, we would get stuck. And I didn't want to see clients anymore. And then somebody gave me astrology, and I started studying astrology, and I was like, oh, this is the key to therapy. This is the thing that I hear somebody complaining over and over and over and over and over again about their mother. and something go, and then I go look at their chart and I'm like, oh, they have the moon in the 12th house conjunct Lilith. Yes, your mama is kicking
Oh.
your ass.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that's
Right,
tough.
but the astrology is the key to actually really being able to support people. So I do charts, but I teach classes to help people heal. So now you want to heal, you want to use Saturn retrograde to heal your relationship with your mother. You want to use Mercury retrograde to heal the way you think about such and such. So this is my passion, and it's called Follow the Sun. I have a whole community where I teach classes, moon cycle classes, retrograde classes, to help people transform the part of their lives where they need the most support. And I love it.
That's what's up.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. You guys know where you can find me, Rob Blackstorm here. I've been doing readings for a lot of people lately. People been coming to me. I read like for damn near a whole strip club in Atlanta. So they been, they been hitting me heavy. But if you want a reading, hit me up. You can email me, robblackstorm@gmail.com, or you can find me on Instagram, Rob_Blackstorm. You can find me on Facebook at Watson Rob. Or you could just, hit me. It's easy to find me on social media. I'm usually pretty active on there. Yeah, and yeah, as Monso said, you can support the Cash App definitely. At If you like this information, at Rob Blackstorm7. It's actually Rob ROB Blackstorm7.com. All right. So it's Rob Blackstorm7.com. And with that said, peace, power, prosperity. Thank you for stopping by. Hit that like button on your way out. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. And we'll do this again on the new moon during the winter solstice. I love y'all. Stay safe. Peace.
Bye, everyone.